Welcome back to TheChowTimePod. It's your host, Ren. I got a video today from Courtney Ryan. You know that stupid list that women made that they refuse to go on first dates? This is her take on it. I've been actually waiting for this. I've been waiting for one of the women that we follow pretty consistently that we can kind of tell aren't so chameleon-like, because Courtney Ryan's been in this boat for a while. She lives the life, she's actually married. Her husband is actually a pretty big YouTuber also. He's like a watch and like gentleman type channel. So it's wonderful that she does this type of channel, and he does like, what kind of watches to wear and things like that. So I think they make a great couple. So please subscribe down below. I really appreciate that. Let's get to that chow. It's chow time.
I'm Courtney Ryan, and we have something very fun to react to today. So a lot of you sent me this after the whole Cheesecake Factory reaction video.
It took her a while to get to this list. I was hoping, I've been waiting for her to do this. Like, she is definitely one person I wanted to hear about with this list and how she takes it in and what kind of advice she gives on this list.
This one's kind of tied in. It's a list that women have made of places they refuse to go on first dates. So I thought I would give my 2 cents on this list as someone who tries to be pretty reasonable when it comes to things like this. Now, I do want to say there are absolutely some valid ones on here. So I made a list of the numbers.
It better not be fucking bowling, because I love bowling, and I've taken many a dates on first dates to bowling
that I agree with. I'm going to tell you guys what they are and why I think it's not the best first date idea. If you are not new to my channel, you will know that I try to talk about both sides. I try to, meet in the middle somewhere, have kind of a balanced approach, and just really...
And that's why I appreciate her approach. Her approach is very similar to me in a sense, except, I'm on the male side of things and she's on the female side of things. But I feel like me and her both do try to work out the differences between the two sexes.
We try to see both sides of the equation. So we'll try to be fair, but I'm going to go through the list and tell you what I think. The list is a lot of restaurants, and I want to say that it's okay to not like a restaurant. It's okay to maybe not prefer a restaurant, especially for something like a first date. But saying places women absolutely refuse to go to on a first date, it's making a pretty big generalization. It's a little bit crazy. Yeah. You can just simply say that you don't like that restaurant, or you haven't had a great experience there, you don't like the food, and decide on somewhere else.
It's like Passport OG said, Passport Pops. He says, this list was definitely made by someone my age or a little bit older than me, because these are all major restaurants of my generation. Like Cheesecake Factory, I think, became popular when I was growing up. Same thing with Applebee's, Olive Garden. Buffalo Wild Wings came up while I was growing up. Red Lobster was a big thing. You remember freaking Happy Gilmore? The guy who was like, jackass, like he loved Red Lobster. Red Lobster was a major restaurant at the time, So like IHOP, all these were like major things that I did when I was growing up dating. Like, skating rinks and stuff like that. They don't have them here, but like movies, dinners and movies, I did that all the time when I was growing up. And nowadays, I've done it like once in the more recent years. Most of the time it's just dinner. And we don't really do activities like we used to when I was younger, like bowling, or we'll go, like I said, skating rink, or, roller skates or whatever. It's crazy that it's definitely someone our age that are telling all these younger women these places suck, when I'm almost positive a lot of these younger women haven't experienced many of these places.
Else together, there's no need to be a brat about it, right? There's no need to say, I don't accept dates at Applebee's. Acting like that is just, it's not cute, right?
Nope.
And I wouldn't recommend you guys date a girl who acts like that. If you're a woman watching, I wouldn't recommend acting like that. I think there are much more graceful and respectful ways to handle a situation if it's somewhere that you don't necessarily want to go or that you wouldn't prefer to go to. And there absolutely are people who think that they are above these places, which is not a great thing. I don't think that's a redeeming quality about someone. I wouldn't recommend dating.
This is right. Like she's giving us a little bit of tidbits that we all know. But I don't say it too often. So she's saying, don't date these types of people. avoid these types of people. I don't say it as often as I should, but I think it's a kind of a given.
Someone like that, if you're someone who is like that is watching, I would just encourage you to try to get to the root of why you think you're better than other people or why you think that you're better than certain places to eat. It's not a great quality to have. It's a bit immature. It's, again, a superiority complex, and it's just not cute. So I wouldn't recommend being like that. So looking through this list, my first thought, initially, my very first thought, before I really thought about the list, I thought, do you want to go to outer space? Like, I don't quite understand why we are writing all these places off.
Yeah, she needs some Jeff Bezos rich kind of guy that could take her to outer space.
A few of them totally agreed from the very start, the first time I went through the list. But I thought a little bit more critically about the list. I talked to my husband about it. He gave his opinion.
I want to know what her husband says, actually.
And when I really thought about the places on the list, I understood it a bit more. So let's go through it. But I also want to talk about the fact that not everyone has the budget to go out to a 5-star restaurant.
Yes, the thing is, I think these are just mainstream restaurants. These are restaurants that most people know. Most people have heard of these types of restaurants. I think that's why a lot of women don't want to go to, because they don't want to seem normal or regular. They want to go to the high-end Mastros, Fogo, the Chow, and, things like that, when it's not something they experience on a normal basis. Like I said, I go to Fogo pretty often. I actually just went last 2 weeks ago, and then I went to M Grill, which is a different Brazilian barbecue spot last week, because I wanted to try a different one. Not as good. And then I actually kind of live that kind of life when I go to eat these particular places. I don't go that as often as these women make it seem like they do. I mean, in 5 dates, do they go to Mastro's 5 fucking times? Because that's an intense fucking amount of food and high-end food 5 days a week just to go to Mastro's like that. So I don't believe these women are living that kind of life. It's possible. There's some good-looking ones out there that I'm sure many men will throw their money at, but
or a 4-course meal. So setting that precedent from the beginning isn't a good date idea. For a lot of the places on here, they aren't even cheap. Red Lobster is not cheap.
It isn't. Red Lobster is like, for 2 people, $70-$80. It's about the same price as, I would put Red Lobster and Cheesecake Factory very similar to each other.
Cheesecake Factory is not cheap. So I don't necessarily think the budget for the date is the reason why a lot of the places are on here. I think there are better places you can go than a lot of these places like Red Lobster, Applebee's.
Where are all the Asian spots? Nobody put any Asian spots on here. So all the Asian spots are okay, is what I'm hearing. We can go to Panda Express. We can go to 85 degrees for some boba, something like that.
If you're someone watching who is looking through this list and it's all your favorite places to eat, well, then you should date a girl who is aligned with you on that, right? Because there are girls who love all of these places. They see no problem with it. I got on Facebook, and my Facebook is mostly full of people from my hometown. I'm going through my timeline. A lot of people are posting about this. A girl says, oh, my first date with my fiance was at Buffalo Wild Wings. I love it.
Shit, I was at Buffalo Wild Wings yesterday with my best friend because they have the Tuesday deal, buy one, get one free wings, so on traditional wings. Like, these places have good deals. They're good food. Buffalo Wild Wings, I wouldn't say it's the best wing spot, but it's up there, Their garlic parm is definitely one of the better garlic parm wings out of most places.
I love to go there. Instead of trying to change everyone in the world's preferences, of course, we can say what's realistic.
Well, this is what women want to do. They want to change all men's preferences to what they want. They want to change all men's preferences to 35-year-old single mothers. So, we can pick them all up and rescue them. That's what they want. That's why they shame men constantly for not wanting to date, shame men for not approaching, shame men for leaving. It's just nothing but shame, shame, shame. And it's fine. I like the component of shame. I always say a little bit of shame is necessary, in society, but the way they shame men is not productive.
We can call out delusions. We can call out poor behavior. But the unfortunate reality is that people just they don't care.
Nope.
A lot of people are set in their ways,
Yep.
and they just won't be aligned with you, right? And instead of trying to change someone or change their mind, we should just go out with people who we are more aligned with, who we have more in common with. And you don't have to have your favorite list of restaurants in common. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, if you go out with a girl and she gives you a list of places that she doesn't want to go to and says, I refuse to go to these places, well, maybe you just shouldn't go out with her.
Yep.
Because it seems like you're not aligned. So that's the first piece of advice.
These advices that she's giving, it's like so basic. But men out there do not have, what would you call it, the boundaries to enforce some of these things. They're so desperate. They're willing to go to some of these places. They're willing to spend all these money just for the attention from the woman. And I agree with her. Just don't take these people. There's plenty of women out there that would probably align with you better than a high class 304.
I would give about this whole thing in general. I've sat here a million times and said, people have unrealistic preferences and standards. That is absolutely true. But unfortunately, people will continue to have unrealistic preferences and standards. And again, instead of trying to change them, just date other people.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to change a bad apple into a good apple.
And this is what we tell men, and this is what we tell women. Just let us do what we want to do. Like, none of us, we let you guys do what you guys want to do. There's nothing wrong with that.
And by bad apple into good apple, it could be really a bad apple who you shouldn't date, but also just someone who's not good for you. Listen, I don't really like a lot of these restaurants, if I'm being totally honest, but because I think that you can go somewhere much better, pay the same price, and have a better experience and better food. Another thing to consider is that it depends on where you live.
This is true.
Some of you might live in very small towns, and the nicest restaurant you have is a Chili's. In that case, Chili's sounds great.
I used to live in Hesperia, Victorville area, a little bit north of LA, like midway to Vegas. And it's a very small desert town. The best restaurant we had was Texas Roadhouse, and that opened up later. And the best we had before that was Cracker Barrel. So she's right. There's some places don't have Mastros, don't have fucking, these major high-end restaurants.
Or go to like a little local cute place, little local diner.
No diners. Diners is disgusting.
There are so many places you can go for a date. So let's see. Cheesecake Factory, Applebee's, Chili's. Cheesecake Factory has great cheesecake. I don't know who could be mad with a giant slice of delicious cheesecake sitting in front of them.
Applebee's is awesome. I go there pretty often with my guys. We do happy hour there. They're $2 or $25 for 2 steaks. I share that with my best friend, and we get full as fuck, and it's delicious. $25. 2 fucking steak dinners.
Applebee's, I've not had great experiences there. The Applebee's in my area are incredibly mediocre. I would never choose to go to Applebee's. Chili's, they have great tortilla chips.
I love Chili's fajitas. Probably my favorite there. That's what I usually get.
Chipotle.
Never
if you're
been.
In high school, there's nothing wrong with Chipotle. Another thing to consider.
I just never been.
How old you are. What stage of life are you in? Are you both in high school? Are you both in college? Are you balling on a budget? You don't need to go to a 5-course or a 5-star restaurant on your first date if you were a college student. I wouldn't recommend that anyway, to be honest. Any fast food chain, I don't necessarily think going to McDonald's on the first date is the most romantic. But again, I think we need to consider that there's a lot of nuance here too. We're all different. We all like different things. We're all living different experiences in life. What was your convo like leading up to the date? Did you both joke about how you love Waffle House?
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest Waffle House either. Unless you're ready to show her your fighting skills.
Then that's a super cute first date. Do you see how if we look at things a little bit differently, It can work for some people, it doesn't work for other people. And I think that's just something that we need to also understand, is that we all have different life experiences and perspectives. And there's nuance. It's not so black and white. You know, we don't need to blacklist restaurants necessarily. Our
I agree. Some places people don't like, sure. You know, like my best friend hates Raising Cane's. I love Raising Cane's. We still are, friends. We still, eat together here and there. So it's okay to not like certain places. But again, yeah, she's right. When you blacklist a place, unless you had a really horrible experience there once where, something happened, possible. But bowling, nightclubs, the nightclubs for sure is not a really good date idea in my opinion, because it's loud music, you don't really get to know each other, and you're in a place where other people are there to have like to try to get with the people too, so it's not the best. Hookah bar, I don't think a hookah bar is bad. I'm not a big fan of hookah in general, but it's a nice spot to sit, you can relax, you can drink. I think some hookah bars have alcohol, and it's enjoyable for some people. So
Are some restaurants better than other places for first dates? Yeah, probably. But another girl might really love a place that's on the blacklist. Let's see. Buffalo Wild Wings, again, got on my hometown Facebook. A girl and her fiance had their first date at Buffalo Wild Wings. She loves Buffalo Wild Wings.
same.
It is what it is. Wingstop, Red Lobster.
I used to go there a lot, Wingstop, but their wings are almost always dry. So I don't, and I wouldn't suggest that place for a date. It's not really. It's kind of like a fast food spot in my opinion.
You know, if she
A buffet, I don't think anything's wrong with a buffet. Like certain buffets are pretty good.
hates seafood, I can understand why she wouldn't want to go to Red Lobster.
Okay.
My best friend hates seafood, and she said, you know, I really wouldn't want to go to Red Lobster because it's mostly seafood.
Yeah, I
Understandable.
give that.
But their cheddar biscuits are really good. A buffet, IHOP, maybe she loves pancakes. Denny's, Starbucks.
Denny's is one I would not ever take anybody. I'm just not a big fan of Denny's. Their food has never been good. Their service is hardly ever good either. So
I would probably go to a local coffee shop over a Starbucks.
yeah,
But
I'd go with
again, if you live in a place where all you have is a Starbucks, I'm assuming if you have a Starbucks, you probably have other things too. Coffee dates, I don't understand the coffee date thing. People don't like that. They think it's too quick. You know, they spend all this time getting ready for a coffee date. But sometimes, you know, maybe both of you are very busy and you're like, hey, you know, I'm really busy this week, but I want to make time to see you. I have an hour on Sunday. Do you want to just...
Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of non-Asian things here, that at least that I'm always associated with, because I live in Southern California and Asian culture is pretty big here. Like boba. I'm surprised like boba dates or something isn't on here unless they like boba. So because a boba date is very similar to a coffee date. We're just going to get a drink real quick, have a little conversation, maybe a little bit of snack of some popcorn chicken or something. But I'm surprised, like again, there's no Asian spots on here, which I feel a little bit left out.
just meet up for coffee because I really want to see you and meet you and get to know you. In that case, what's wrong with that? Also, a lot of people like a more casual first date. Not every girl wants to go out to a super fancy first date.
This is correct. I know I've dated a few women that I've taken them to like not fancy restaurants, just restaurants I go to normally, my normal restaurants, and they're like, no, I'd rather like they're like, it's a little bit much. I'd rather just have a little coffee date or a little beach walk or something. And I'm like, oh, should have told me. Like we could do a beach walk after the dinner, but dinner usually is just like one of the first foremost things that come into my mind when it comes to a date.
Not every girl likes that. Ice cream dates, I think that can be super cute too. And
Dude, some ice cream dates can be expensive as fuck. Have you guys heard of Afters? Afters ice cream is like $20 a fucking person. You know, like there's Creamistry. That's like $20 a fucking person. There's expensive ass fucking ice cream places. And they're good, I guess.
the best thing about coffee dates and ice cream dates, like quick dates like that, is that if you have more time when the date's over, you could extend the date
This is correct. This is what I do. If I enjoy my time with the person, I'm like, oh, are you still free? We can go to the movies or go do something
and do
afterwards.
something spontaneous and fun together. Waffle House, again, did you talk about how you both love Waffle House? Then that's a cute date idea. I know I'm rambling, I know I'm going on and on, but I really want to try to give a more nuanced approach to this than I'm seeing people do online. You know, there is so much nuance to this list, and I know a lot of you don't want to hear that. You want to hear me say that all these are great. I'm not going to do that.
I wouldn't say all of them are great either.
I think the real problem, and I'm going to be really honest here from a woman's perspective, I talked to my husband about this too. I think the issue some women would have with a lot of these places is that it feels low effort. And I want to make this clear that I'm absolutely not condoning acting like a brat about where someone takes you, because you know that I do not stand for that. But I can see where girls are coming from with some of these. You know, and let's not forget that there are much more important things to a date than the place that you're at. The quality of the conversation, your aligned values, aligned life goals, getting to know each other.
I can see where she's coming from, like where she's saying that this feels low effort because a lot of these places you don't make reservations for. You know, you just kind of show up and wait. You know, they're not fancy spots or whatever it is, but it's a first date. How much effort do you want the man to do? You want to give him you want him to give his whole wallet to you, kind of thing. You know, it's just the initial interaction to see even if you want to keep seeing this person. Like, why do I need to spend $300-400 just to find that part out?
Are you connecting? Are you having a good conversation? I mean, those things are way more important than where you're doing it at. So I'm trying to give you, both viewpoints here. There's positives and negatives on each side. I can see the reasons why girls wouldn't like this. Do I necessarily agree with all the reasons? No, I do not. And you don't have to either.
This is true.
But I'm just trying to lay out both sides. Now, I want to go through the worst ones on here, or the ones that I agree with, okay? So, number 6, which is the movies.
What's wrong with the
movies
movies?
are a horrible first date. I would not recommend that. And the reason is because you're both sitting in a theater in silence, watching a movie. The point of a first date is to get to know the person, to see if you're compatible.
You know what? I'll agree with her, but I've never taken just a date to the movies only. It's always usually dinner and then movies. So you get to know each other in the dinner. You get to sit and chill in the movies. I don't fully agree, but I don't disagree with her either.
If you're sitting in silence for 2 hours, you're not getting to know them. And you could argue, what if you do dinner and a movie? Sure.
That's what I usually
But I really think a movie should be saved for a later date.
Okay.
The first date
I can respect
should be somewhere that you can talk, somewhere that you can get to know each other, and not be sitting in silence awkwardly next to someone that you just met for 2 hours. And I will tell you, as someone who has gone on a first date at the movie theater, I had anxiety the entire time. Because I couldn't talk to this person. It was someone I knew before this, which made it a little bit better, but it was still very awkward. It was not great.
Okay. Noted.
So I would not recommend the movies.
That's
Number
good
7,
feedback.
your house. Absolutely not. Horrible date idea.
Calm down, Courtney. Calm down. There's plenty of guys and plenty of women that don't mind going to my house.
For a lot of reasons. One,
or your house.
the first date should be in a public place. And that's a safety thing. As a woman, that's something I'm always concerned about. And most women are.
I don't think very many men are saying their house unless they are true Chads and Tyrones and just want to hit it and quit. Like, there's no way that this works out for most women unless they are that desperate for that man too. So I think that one's a little bit nuanced in its own category, because if a woman just wants to sleep with the man, that works.
If you know the person previously, it could work, but I really think it's better to do something publicly for a first date. If you're looking for a hookup, sure. If you're looking for a relationship, maybe not. I don't even want to necessarily say that it's low effort because you're not taking me anywhere, because maybe you want me to come over to your house because you want to cook me an entire meal, which is so cute. Save that for a few dates in.
No, not the first date.
Save that for the fourth date. Just because I do think a first date should be in a public place.
Reasonable.
And again, it's not because it's low effort. A lot of girls would say, you can't even leave your house. That's so low effort. It doesn't always have to be that way. I don't think that's the intention for a lot of guys. But do you see how someone could think that? I could see how someone could think that, but also then I could see how a girl might not see, oh, maybe he wants to do something special for me at his house. Maybe he's a great cook and he wants to cook me a meal. Just save that for a few dates in if you get to that point. Your house is very personal. You're inviting someone into your space. You should wait until, you like.
This, I agree. I feel the same way about my house. I don't really invite that very many women to my house. And there's very few women that come into my room that I don't end up having some kind of sex with. It's a safe spot, right? You don't want random women coming to your safe spot because you don't know which one is crazy. Tell the truth, half of them might have been crazy and they could have done something to you in your house and where you stay, but luckily you kind of avoided it.
Like the person to bring them to your house. Number 15, which is the gym.
That one for a first date. I would not want to go
to the gym on a first date.
Yeah.
Being sweaty at the gym.
Yeah.
Gym clothes out of.
That's exactly where I was kind of like, I agree with her on the gym. The gym seems like it's something when you guys are established and you guys go to the gym once or twice a week together kind of thing, or gym together. That seems much more reasonable for the gym than an actual first date.
Breath, that doesn't sound great for a first date to me, personally. Maybe if you're both gym rats and you would really like that, then
that's
sure.
where, yeah.
But I think there's much better dates than the gym for a first date, just me personally. Church, again, kind of going back to the movie concept. Again, the point of a first date is to talk to someone, to get to know someone. You can't really do that during a church service. Again, could be fine for a few dates in if you're both really into that. If you're not, maybe don't go to church for the first date. Even if you met each other at church, I still don't think church is a good first date idea.
Yeah, no.
Because again, the point is to get to know the person. Not to sit in.
I mean, okay, Courtney, you're wonderful. Yes, of course, that is the purpose for men. I don't think it's the purpose for a lot of women. Women don't really care to get to know men. They just want to go out and do some of these things too. Not all women, but a good chunk of women. I don't think they really are truly invested in getting to know a man most dates.
In silence next to each other. A family function, absolutely not.
Yeah, that one's awkward.
A first date should be me and you. I don't want your friends to be there. I don't want your family to be there. I'm there to get to know you. I don't even know if I like you yet. I don't want
You should tell this to the women, the ones that bring friends on the first dates.
to meet the most important people in your life on the first date. Not into it. Movie night, again, same thing. I'm assuming movie night means Netflix and chill at your house, which we're not doing. I would never do that for a first date. For the two reasons I already mentioned. A movie is a bad first date, and your house is a bad first date.
Depends.
Again, keep in mind, these are all my opinion, but you come here to get my opinion.
This is true.
And to get my advice about women, so I'm telling you what women think. Maybe your buddies are telling you it's a good idea. Maybe don't listen to your buddies.
I mean, there's certain women that it will work with. Sure, the ones that are really into you, but it's not going to work on most women.
Maybe you should be listening to a woman who's giving you advice about women. For what women like on first dates and what women don't like on first dates.
See, this is the part where I don't fully agree with Courtney. Yes, what you might like is you, but you don't actually experience what most of these other women like. You're not the norm. That's the problem I have with this particular thing, is she's not a normal woman, a normal modern woman. She's more traditional. She's very conservative, So your thought process is slightly different than most other women's thought process. It's nice to get the how she does think and stuff. It's wonderful, like to kind of process some of this stuff. But I don't fully agree with that either, though.
Because as I said in the very beginning, there are a lot on here that I do agree with. Next, nightclubs.
Yeah, I agree with that one. No, not a good
It's
place.
loud. It's obnoxious. People are sloppy, drunk, alcohol's involved. Sounds horrible to me. I don't drink, so I'm
Same.
obviously a little more biased.
Same. I don't drink
But
either.
nightclub, not really a good idea. It's loud, it's dark, it's obnoxious. People are drunk.
And not just that, just people are there to meet people. So you're kind of throwing yourself into a sea of single people that want to find other people. So it's not the greatest.
Alcohol's involved, sloppy. Sounds like my worst nightmare, personally. Maybe a jazz club could be cute. It's a little more low key. You listen to music. It's a little more chill. But yeah, hookah bar. This could be
Again,
different depending on where you are in the world.
yeah, I agree. I'm not a hookah bar kind of guy. I know there's quite a bit of people that do really enjoy hookah bars though. So
I guess I wouldn't want to go to a hookah bar on a first date or ever. I don't smoke, so.
oh, that makes sense.
But if you're both really into that, maybe you would enjoy that.
I agree.
Could be kind of chill. You could sit there, get to know each other, whatever. A bar for just drinks, again, I wouldn't like that because I don't drink. Maybe if you both drink, you could go to a cute
You know what? She sounds like a boba girl. If she doesn't seem to drink, maybe she'll go out for boba.
hotel lounge, get a drink, and then go out to dinner. I think that's cute. But I think the issue that girls are having is a bar just for drinks. Like maybe they want to eat while they're out. A lot of girls will say that they don't like to go out for just drinks because they think that you're trying to get them drunk, which is kind of a cynical way to look at it. I'm sure there are men who do.
I mean, how many drinks are you gonna drink? Like, usually people maybe drink one, maybe two on these types of like meetings. So unless you really want to get belligerent drunk, which you have full control over.
Do that. But yeah, I would think if you're going out for drinks, you should also get food. It also depends what time you're going. If you're going after work, you'll probably also be kind of hungry for dinner when you get off work. So going for drinks, I'd be sitting there starving. But I think coffee and ice cream dates are really cute. They are casual, and it could turn into more if you have the time to continue the date. I think it's wholesome and a really easy way to get to know someone. And instead of just sitting across from each other at a dinner table, if you're not great at conversation, bowling can be a way to kind of talk about what you're doing, be a little competitive, playful, have fun, while also being able to talk.
Show off a little bit if you're good at bowling.
So something like bowling, top golf.
Yeah, I think bowling and like mini golf is really good because one person goes up, bowls. You can wait a little bit. There's not really time limits in a sense. Bowling somewhat depending if you bought hourly or if you bought per game, but it's a very casual. You're able to talk with each other. You're able to order like drinks and snacks at the bowling alley. I enjoy the bowling alley a lot. I grew up with it. Like when I started bowling when I was like 6 or 7 because we used to have a bowling alley next to my parents' donut shop. So when I was younger, I wasn't fully ready to fully work full shifts and stuff. So I'll work a little bit and then go over to the bowling alley to kill some time and enjoy myself, I guess, as a kid.
What else could be a fun activity? Like a farmer's market, a museum. You're not supposed to like talk super loud at a museum, but you can still talk at a museum while you're going through together quietly to each other. And it can be fun to have something to talk about as you're going through. A sporting event, it's loud.
I'm
it
not
can
a
be
big fan of
rowdy. It
sporting
depends on the
events. I've only been to one so far. Like I told you guys, I went to the Dodger game earlier this year. It was boring. The seats suck. The food sucked. I did not really enjoy myself. But then again, I'm not a sports fan nor a baseball fan, so it wasn't that enjoyable for me.
sporting event, I think some girls would love to go to a sporting event. I have friends who have gone to sporting events for first dates and they loved it. I wouldn't really want to because I'm not super into sports, to be honest. So again, this depends on you and the girl. If you both love Cleveland Browns football, go to
True.
a game. How fun. I think something I really want to drive home is that it comes down to you and your date and planning something that aligns with who you guys are and what you both enjoy. You know, if you guys have been talking leading up to the date and she mentions how she has never been to the museum and she would really want to go, that could be a great first date.
It's also a bit of manipulation. Like, I hate to say it, Courtney, but women do that shit to men all the time. And this is how they manipulate men to doing things that they want to do. So, it's a bit of a manipulation tactic with most women.
You know, there is so much nuance here. Of course, there are some that I agreed with, but again, keep in mind, that's just me personally. You know, you might talk to a girl who would love to go to a hookah bar on the first date. I don't know. My point is that everyone is different. Everyone has different preferences. Everyone's into different things. It depends on how old you are, where you live, what you're into, what you're not, what your lifestyle's like. You know, if you are the most frugal, casual guy in the entire world, you do not like spending a lot of money on restaurants, on food, on anything like that, then you probably shouldn't be going out with a girl who is bougie as all heck and wants a guy who takes her out to luxurious restaurants. See how there's just not, it just doesn't align. And that's okay.
You know, Courtney's coming at it as if, like, it's so easy for men to get dates. So I can understand how she's going about it, but on the other side of things, men are desperate. A lot of these men don't have a chance of going on dates, and when a woman does give them a chance to go on a date, they definitely want to impress, and most of the time they're going after decent looking women that are going to have these types of standards, and because they want some and they want some attention, they're going to take them. Like, this is the other side of, like, the men's side of things. I understand why men don't, and I tell men they shouldn't, but then I also somewhat understand that men that do. You know, if you never get dates and you finally get a person to talk to you in the last 2-3 years and they're willing to go out, you know, like, sometimes you feel like you want to take them out somewhere special because this is the first time have gone on a date in a long time. So I definitely can see where some men just kind of want to do some of these things. So
Anyway, I hope I gave a different perspective on this. I really wanted to try to show a little bit of both sides and really drive the point home that it comes down to you and your date and what you're into and what you guys would both enjoy together.
welcome back to TheChowTimePod. It's your host, Ren. I got a video today from Courtney Ryan. You know that stupid list that women made that they refuse to go on first dates? This is her take on it. I've been actually waiting for this. Like, I've been waiting for one of the women that we follow pretty consistently that we can kind of tell aren't so chameleon-like, because Courtney Ryan's been in this boat for a while. She lives the life, you know. She's actually married. Her husband is actually a pretty big YouTuber also. He's like a watch and like gentleman type channel. So it's wonderful that she does this type of channel, and he does like, oh, what kind of watches to wear and things like that. So I think they make a great couple. So please like subscribe down below. I really appreciate that. Let's get to that chow. It's chow time.